Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bedpost Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Erin Pym. Here at the podcast, what I like to do is bring guests and performers from my stage show Bedpost that I have here in Toronto, guests from that and beyond in the world of sex and sexuality. I like to bring them into the studio to indulge me in a more in-depth conversation about sex. So today's guest is super exciting. They're a representative of one of my sponsors. So you've probably heard of them, a few times before, more like every episode. And also I've had them as a guest on the podcast, talking them numerous times. So you can also go back in the catalogs and listen to those episodes too if you want to hear more from her. Please welcome to the mic events producer and marketing director of Oasis Aqualounge.
It's a mouthful.
Fatima Mechtab.
Hello.
Hi.
So glad to be here. I love coming on the show.
I love and you've got some Oasis swag on.
I've got my Oasis Aqua Shop snapback hat, limited edition.
Because you are the creative director as of Oasis Aqua
That's
Shop
right.
as well.
Yes. And
You
we
do everything.
We got these cool hats in, and I'm a big fan of the snapback.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of designs in. We're currently selling them at the club. They're not available on our online store. We just
So
have a couple of
limited,
them. So it's a
yeah.
limited edition. I just thought
I'm looking at your profile in the monitor. It's so cute.
Isn't it the best?
You look just so adorable. Look at you.
The hat I meant, not me. But
Aren't I the best?
I know it is my month. It's Leo season.
Oh, nice. So Oasis. So if people, this is for some reason the first time they're tuning into the podcast, Oasis is a sex club that we
Yes.
have here in Toronto.
Yes.
But what is your you have a little soundbite, I feel like, into how you describe Oasis.
So I like to sum it up like this. We are a water-themed, clothing-optional adult playground for consenting adults.
Fantastic.
So meaning we're a sex club. We're open to all genders, all relationship types. We don't refer to ourselves as a swingers club. You don't have to be a swinger to visit Oasis Aqualounge.
You don't have to be kinky. You don't have to be.
You don't have to be kinky. You can be vanilla. You can be monogamous. You can be kinky. You can be queer. You can be a swinger. We're also clothing optional.
So you can wear clothes.
You don't have to.
You cannot wear clothes.
Yeah. Or
Anything in
waist-
between.
Yeah, anything in between.
You can wear your snapback hat.
And nothing else at all.
I feel like actually I just missed the event where it was wear anything but clothes.
Right. Yeah, that was just last night. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be long past when this actually airs, but that really enticed me. It's too bad because I work Sunday nights because I'm a bartender. Brr.
Yeah.
But that intrigued me so much because I was like, oh my god, I could just wear like body jewelry. Like I was
wear
trying to think
anything.
of like creative.
Yeah.
What were some of the outfits that people wore?
So some people wore balloons like taped to their body, and they used like decorative like, I guess you could call it like duct tape.
Yes.
You can use anything from tinfoil, saran wrap.
Oh my god, people got creative.
Yeah, super creative. Well, when I was at Shambhala Festival, we had dust masks that we bought because when you're walking around all this dirt, you're kicking up all this dirt.
Yes.
And so I was like, oh, I bet these would make really cool like little bralette things, right? So you can use stuff like that. You can get super creative with anything but clothes, and that's why people like it.
Yeah.
And like the tagline is like, get dressed up without a stitch of clothing, which is a lot of fun for people.
And I mean, you do so many events there, and that's like your jam to come up with all these really cool, creative, fun events.
It's one of my favorite parts of the job. I mean, I work with a
imagine.
great team, and so we always have creative ideas flying. And I don't produce every single event on the website. There are people that do other events that I'm not personally involved in, but that's what I love, and that's like what I went to school for, and that's what I wanted to bring to the table, sort of right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much fun to pair sex and sexuality with
fun
events.
events.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's great because for first timers, you can go on a particular night that you might feel more comfortable at. And I feel like also if you don't really know what to wear, that gives you an indication of sometimes of a way you can dress up, like in a costume or because you have some events where they feature certain costumes or certain outfits, right?
Yes, and that's like with the themed events, it's always a great conversation starter too. So you can come on a night, like we have a an event on the calendar at the end of September called Suits and Nudes. So that's not exactly dressing up. It kind of is, but like we encourage women to be nude in the company of men in 3-piece suits.
That's dressing up. I feel like no one otherwise would probably come in a suit.
No, and we definitely don't do that event in the summer. But it's really sexy and particularly for the women identified people because they can really dress up their new bodies with like body jewelry and accessories. And of course, the dress code is never mandatory. Nothing at Oasis Aqualounge is mandatory except for our rules. So I mean, however you feel comfortable presenting yourself is cool with us.
Yeah. And when you say accept your rules, what are the rules to not break?
We have a pretty extensive waiver that lists all the rules, but some of the more important ones would be ask once and not twice. Ask once, only once.
Meaning ask to
play.
To play.
So if you want to approach somebody for play and they say no, you're not to approach them again. And if you approach them again, then you will be spoken to by management, kicked out, maybe banned, depending on the situation. We have a active consent rule. So yes means yes. It goes a little bit beyond no means no. We want everybody to have an emphatic yes in anything that they're engaging in.
And that they keep saying yes.
Yes.
Because you can definitely throw a no in there and then it's over. You can say yes 3 times and then
you can change your mind.
And then change your fucking mind. Yep.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They need to fucking deal with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We don't want people taking any photographs in the club.
Of course.
I mean, we as staff have I guess a bit of a like our own, like we can take, photographs and things like that because we understand what to avoid and, ways to get
you're
around.
not taking pictures of guests.
No, exactly.
Without their consent.
Exactly.
Whereas guests might do that without even thinking
right.
that that's a problem.
Like take selfies like, oh, look at me, I'm
and there's someone nude in the background
right.
that they didn't consent and you're posting. Who knows? You're showing people, you're doing whatever with it.
Exactly. And we were very respectful of people who come into the space. Sometimes they don't want other people to know that they're there, or sometimes this is their getaway, right? Yeah. So what happens at Oasis stays at Oasis, and we want to keep it that way.
Just like Las Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. But we're a little bit more open-minded than Las Vegas, though. Las Vegas is not what people think it is.
Yeah?
It's not all Sin City. It's really not. I mean, what it is, I mean, I like Vegas in certain ways, but I mean, it's a lot about spending money and drinking, and they have an amazing nightlife. But like as far as sex and nudity and alcohol, like they don't mix. You're super strict. Yeah.
Whereas Oasis,
strict.
you can have a drink, you can
have
have a cocktail, and you can have a cock.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in case you're looking for a new tagline for Oasis,
cocktail and a cock. Sounds like an event to me. I actually like that a lot. I think we can do something with that.
It's yours.
Thank you.
You can have that one for free.
Amazing. Amazing. I will like attach Bedpost Podcast to like the event copy though, just like link it to your bio.
Perfect. That's all that I ask.
For sure.
Okay, I feel like a good conversation to kind of start with on this podcast. I know you're giving a presentation in November that's talking about what to do when you're for a first time at a sex club, something like that.
Your first visit at a sex club, and we're going to be presenting at the Taboo Sex Show, which is November 2nd to the 4th at the International Center.
So let's not that you have to give your whole spiel, but what are the main points that people need to know if they're thinking about going to a sex club for the first time?
So the workshop addresses couples, people that are thinking about taking a trip to Oasis Aqualounge and sort of how to prepare yourself for that trip.
Yeah, even before you go.
And one of the main things that I like to emphasize is that it's good for couples to be on the same page when they decide to go to a sex club. It's really important that you both want to go there.
Yes.
Because there's things that you might experience and that you might see, things that you might want to try, and that can be a little overwhelming, and that can bring a lot of excitement to the relationship. It could also bring up other feelings of vulnerability and things like that. So you just want to make sure that it's something that you're both emphatically want to do and experience together.
Yeah, because I've heard of that in the past for sure. Just like around town, talking to people, they're like, "Oh, I really want to go, but my blank doesn't want to go."
Yeah,
and it's like your advice is don't go.
Yeah,
don't go until they want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my other piece of advice would be have an exit strategy in case you feel uncomfortable. It's not where I start the presentation, but it's more towards the end. Because just in case, you're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable or you want to change something up and you don't really want to make a big deal out of it in front of other people, and maybe you just don't want to be obvious about it, having a secret word or some sort of signal between you and your partners is a good way to just kind of like ease out of something that you might be a little bit uncomfortable in.
Yeah. Even just like, go meet at the locker room in 5 minutes. This sign means meet at the locker room, and then you can, safely talk together in the locker room about
like
whatever.
Or something.
Right. Yeah.
And then another thing I like to emphasize is, discuss what you discuss your fantasies. You know what I mean? Talk about what it is that you want to experience together.
Yeah, why you want to go.
Yeah.
What are you fantasizing about? Why is this a fantasy for you?
Yeah.
And what are you kind of hoping in your wildest dreams? What would you hope would happen at Oasis?
Exactly. But always manage your expectations too, because
Right.
you might go into a sex club with your partner or even just by yourself with this idea of something that you want to achieve and something that you want to experience.
That can be dangerous.
Yeah. But you know what? That might not happen, right?
Yes.
And so sometimes people get into a situation where they come to Oasis and they have an expectation. Like, for example, they expect to get laid.
They want to hook up.
Yeah. And I mean, that's perfectly acceptable to expect from a sex club.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're still dealing with human beings, and you still need to ask consent and make sure people are comfortable. And sometimes people just might not be.
And treat a person, not like a goal.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Not like an end game.
Your goal may not be their goal.
Yeah.
And so I suggest coming into the environment with an open mind, realize that you're in a very liberated, sexually charged, open-minded, non-judgmental space, and then just go with the flow. The great thing about Oasis Aqualounge is that it's a very social and open space, so it's so easy to strike up conversations with people. It's also, I don't know if I would use the word easy to have sex, but because we're sexually open, asking somebody for play is perfectly acceptable, whereas in the vanilla world, that might not be received so well, right?
But that said, I know you also do talks on sex club etiquette, and you've got some tutorials I think on your YouTube as well. To have that be the first thing you ask a person, even in a sex club, is probably not the best place to start.
It's not a good place to start.
Do you want to fuck?
Yeah. It's not a great place to start.
It can get there, and it might. It's reasonable to think that it might get there, but you still have to kind of
finesse the situation a little bit.
Yes. And it's not quite black and white as easy as that.
Yeah. And one of the things is that when you put that foot forward right away, there's a sense of pressure from the other person, right?
Yes.
It's just all of a sudden it's I have to make a decision if I want to sleep with you or not right now. And and it's I just want to know your name first, or I just want to sit and have a drink, or just get comfortably in the environment.
Yeah.
So
or get your energy, feel just give me an idea of what I could be getting into potentially.
And talk about things that I don't want to do, things I do want to do, and so it's important to have that consent conversation as well. Yeah. But Oasis makes it so easy to have those conversations because it is such a social environment and it's such a sex positive culture. So I definitely suggest kind of just easing into the environment. A lot of the nights that we offer games and icebreakers, especially nights and days that welcome singles and couples, because we understand that when singles come to the space and they don't necessarily arrive with somebody to play with, it can be a little overwhelming, intimidating, and